All right. So, if I told you that in 1999 there would be an 11-year-old boy dressed in drag allowed inside a gay bar in New York City, and while this half naked little 11-year-old boy is on stage dancing, there would be grown ass men throwing dollar bills at him as if he were a stripper. Would you believe me? Now, it may come off as if I'm trying to be funny or some kind of hyperbolic bullshit, but no, this has happened. This has happened, and not very long ago either. So there's this child, this 11-year-old boy, who goes by the screen name or stage name Desmond Is Amazing, and he's become like a poster boy child for LGBTQ community, apparently. And this all started since he was 7 years old. But now that he's 10, 11, he. This is just weird. This is wrong. It's scary and weird how these communities and these ideologies are starting to shape what America is turning into. And it's just fucking. It's insane. It's insanity. Imagine if the roles were reversed, right? Imagine Imagine if an 11-year-old girl was on stage inside a bar in New York City and was dancing half naked, and you had a bunch of grown ass men throwing dollar bills at her. Like, I'd hope within everyone's just fucking core that they just immediately, without even having to bring this to light, without even having to have a discussion about this shit, I would hope that people would immediately just, that you'd hear the outcry immediately, and that this bar would close down within the next 24 hours if an if an 11-year-old girl was on stage dancing while grown-ass men inside a bar were throwing money at her. Man, that's just fucking wrong. But since it's a boy dressed in drag, that makes it okay? That makes it a bit more acceptable, a bit more within the realms of normality in the fucking 21st century? I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Male or female, this is an 11-year-old freaking kid. I mean, I don't know. I don't know anymore. This goes beyond like, oh, let a kid be who he is within himself, and this goes beyond. I mean, boys don't have to wear the color blue, and girls don't have to wear the color pink, and this is another realm, dude. This is fucking batshit insanity, and what it strip away whatever the hell, however you want to justify this, if you think this is fine, for an 11-year-old boy to be dancing inside a gay bar in New York City, half naked, while a bunch of drunken gay men throw money at him as if he's a stripper. I mean, this is a gay bar, and what do you do at a bar? You drink. So, I mean, it's just what freaked me out even more is that I recently found out that this kid, this 11-year-old boy, was on Good Morning America not a couple months back. I mean, on Good Morning fucking America, and they gave this kid like an entire show, um, dressed in drag. And what was even more shocking was that Michael Strahan was one of the interviewers while the show was going on, and I was like, man, that's kind of weird. Like I would have thought someone like Michael Strahan, former uh, player for the New York Giants, would have just been like, whoa, nah, I'm not touching like this story, or just find a replacement. Like I'm not gonna sit here and ask an 11-year-old kid dressed in drag uh, about why he does the things he does or why he believes this or that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure. I don't know for sure, but I could imagine that some of Michael Strahan's friends and family probably called them up or texted him a few messages afterwards, or the ones that saw it were like, "Bro, maybe in the future you should just stay away from things like that." But I don't know. I don't know. Um, so that was weird. That was weird. And people would be like, "He's not. He's not transgender. He's drag. There's a difference." It's like, well, that's besides the point. This is about an 11-year-old boy allowed into a bar in New York City, dressed in drag, while a bunch of drunk ass men throw money at him as if he's a stripper. What all this is doing is just normalizing. Uh, you're just sexualizing children. That's all this is, and it's fucking creepy. It's disgusting. Uh, I mean, what the fuck's happening? I mean, seriously. Kids allowed into bars, dressed in drag, while grown ass drunken men throw money at them as if they're a stripper. And they'll end it with this. There was, I'll post a video in the link, but there was two guys that were kind of looking into this story. And they went into that bar, that same bar, that gay bar in New York City. And they were recording, and I guess recording slash interviewing. I don't know if the guy knew he was being recorded, but that's besides the point. Um, so they go in there and they start asking questions. They're like, "Hey, do you guys have these types of shows all the time? Have you heard of this kid named Desmond?" And the bartender, or I don't know if he was a bartender or like a co-owner or something, like a higher up or whatever. And he's like, "Oh yeah, Desmond's been here a couple months back, and uh, he's he's real popular in the LGBT communities and da 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 da." And the people interviewing him, the bartender or one of the own, I don't know if he's an owner or bartender, but the two guys that are interviewing ask him, what's the youngest age that you're allowed to come in here and dance like dressed in drag? Like, what's the youngest age that's like appropriate? Sounds fucked up in itself. And he wouldn't answer the question. He would always kind of just slither around the question and be like, well, as long as you're a performer and you have the proper government licensing, whatever the fuck that means. It's like, as long as you're a performer and you have the proper government licensing, it's okay. And they'd ask him, no, but like, what's the youngest that you can be? Like, what's the youngest age you guys allow, like, for this kind of stuff to happen? He's like, oh, what does it matter? That doesn't matter in the state of New York. As long as you're a performer and you have the proper licensing, it's okay. And the creepiest thing about that was what he said before they like got out of the bar. I guess because they were just kind of getting creeped out by the way this dude would answer the questions. Like, it was just no big deal. But the last statement that he made was he says something to he says, you know that show Honey Boo Boo? Well, that's essentially what this is. This is just, it's exactly like Honey Boo Boo. And that when I heard that, that's when I was just like, I don't know, that was like the writing on the wall for me of like, wait a minute. It's exactly like Honey Boo Boo. That told me that all this is way more and has something to do way more with just performing and, dancing. It's a lot of it's way more than just that. When in your head, you're gonna fucking tell me that a fucking show like Honey Boo Boo is the exact same thing as an 11-year-old boy dressed in drag dancing inside a gay bar while drunken men throw money at this kid as if he's just a stripper. They're like whistling and kinds of creepy shit. You're seriously gonna sit there and say that, oh, it's just like Honey Boo Boo. It's the exact same thing as Honey Boo Boo. It's no big deal. Seriously, that's like the red light of they really people really got to look into this more. Look into that bar. I'm gonna leave an address to the bar as well. I'm gonna leave that the address of the bar in the description. But yeah, man, this is just getting just too way out of hand. I mean, in America, I mean, in all honesty, the things people want to normalize and what certain movements fight for, and it comes and it ends up evolving into this type of stuff, these type of discussions. I mean, in America, it's just like, I mean, this joke just isn't funny anymore. I mean, in all seriousness, this fucking joke just isn't funny anymore.